So I've got some expensive paperweights on my desk right now, not because they're broken beyond repair, but because repairing in the US is its own kind of special. And this happens on both ends. Drones that are too old and drones that are too, let's say, unofficial. So if you fly DJI, you need to hear about how this actually plays out. So I have been flying drones for quite some time. The first drone that I ever flew was the DJI Spark. I have owned a number of Mavic drones, and I've flown drones from other brands as well. My go-to workhorse drone, both for cinematic adventure, photography and videography, as well as real estate, weddings, and a bunch of stuff, has been this guy. This is the Mavic 2 Pro. And before you come at me, I love this drone. It just works for me and has worked for me for a long time. Bought this drone in 2018. It has been pretty much everywhere with me. And fortunately, in that entire time, I've never really crashed it. It's definitely had some close calls, and there've been a few incidents where it bumped into some stuff. But what I'll say is that it has never needed a repair. It's never had a crash to the point where it was damaged and needed repair, and it functioned pretty much continuously that entire time. And I have logged many, many hours and miles on this drone, the Mavic 2 Pro. The 1-inch sensor from Hasselblad was phenomenal, is phenomenal, and has been working great. And I'm in a position that I think a lot of drone owners and flyers have been here in the United States for the last year or so, knowing that there were either upcoming or current regulatory issues, that it's very difficult to get newer drones from DJI, and DJI makes the best drones. Like, let's just all be on the same page here. But a lot of folks like me are like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna hold on to the old trusty. I'm gonna run it until it dies, or get it repaired if it does have some damage, because I don't wanna go through the headache and the hassle of having to try to get another one that maybe isn't officially supported, or that you just can't buy, or if you can, it's just prohibitively expensive because of all of the tariffs and customs and border patrol issues, or just the lack of release altogether. And then here you have the Mini 5 Pro. This is a super fun and awesome drone, super lightweight. I've been taking this on backpacking trips and on mountain biking rides, and honestly, the 1-inch sensor on this device has been really holding up really well and is a great trade-off for the weight. It's got more flight time. It was far less expensive than this one. Fast, it's nimble. The remote is great. Like, lots of really great stuff to love in both of these drones. But this drone faces its own issue, which is that it's not officially supported in the United States. It's approved by the FCC. It can fly. You can fly this in the United States. And if you have, depending on the battery that you have, it does sit under normally that 249 gram rating. So you can fly it without a commercial license if you're flying for recreation only, right? The batteries are cheaper. There's a lot of pros for this drone right here. Except here's the issue. Within a month's time, both of these drones needed repair for me. So the Mavic 2, not having been in an accident, not having been in a crash, kind of out of nowhere started giving me a gimbal overload error. Just started giving me all sorts of trouble, and it was off and on, right? I tried some firmware updates, tried rolling back firmware, tried a number of other things, and it would kind of come and go. And then I got to the point recently where it didn't stop doing it. And the irony is it'll fly. It flies fine, no problem whatsoever. The remote still works great. The battery is great. The sensor is great, but when it gets up into the air, it doesn't engage the gimbal. And so it just kind of floppies around. It doesn't keep itself in a strong, stable position. And you end up with footage that's just all flip. Well, that's not gonna work for what I'm doing for it. So I sent this to my local repair shop. I'm fortunate here in the United States, here in Las Vegas specifically, and maybe you have this in your town too. We've got a drone repair shop here in town. It's actually close to my house. Super nice people. It's not like in a seedy strip mall or something. Like, it's actually in a little office park. It's a nice place. It's called Drone Doctor. This video is not sponsored by them. I will link them down below if you want to contact them for your drone repair needs. They don't know that I'm making this video. I'm just making this on my own. But I sent this to them. I dropped it off to them and said, hey, let me know what you can do. Unfortunately, that was at around the same time that the Mavic 2 Pro had been officially discontinued from DJI. Support was ended. But I figured, you know what, there's gotta be something. They quoted me, I think about $350 for the repair, and then weeks went by. I called about every 10 days or so. I knew that this would be a difficult thing to pull off, really, but I figured there's gotta be a way to get this thing. And after about 5 or 6 weeks, and they explained that unfortunately they can repair it, but the parts necessary, the gimbal replacement, is just impossible to get. And at that time, they showed in their system that it was gonna be weeks and weeks. And so why don't I just take it? And so now I kind of have this guy, and I don't really know what to do. I guess I could sell it for parts, but that feels kind of sad because quite frankly, it still flies great. And the video, I'll say the image quality is still very good. The video itself is unusable. But I've considered honestly like strapping an action camera to this or like a 360 camera just kind of for fun, just to try some stuff out. But the point that I wanted to make about this particular drone and this situation is that I know a lot of people who are working in architecture or inspection and also in real estate who use this drone to do a lot of their work, as well as folks who are using the classic, the Cine, a couple of different versions of it. It's not gonna be long before they're in the same situation that I'm in with this drone, where you can't get it repaired. Even though it could work for only a couple $100 worth of repair, worth of new parts or components, you could potentially get it repaired and it would work just fine, but we're kind of out because we can't get the parts. Now, in some cases, we can't get those parts because, like this one, it's been phased out, or in some cases because we can't get the parts, period. We just can't get them because of the fact that DJI in the United States is a complicated situation. So when I report news on the channel talking about the fact that the restrictions in place by the 2025 Defense Appropriations Act or the policy enforcement from the Customs and Border Patrol, or just the fact that DJI has not officially released a lot of their products here in the United States, means that it's harder and harder for folks like myself who rely on these products, rely on these pieces of equipment to be able to do things that are a part of their job, to be able to get things like parts. Not every municipality or photographer or firefighting crew or that uses drones and technology like this can just go out and buy a new one every time they break. Repair is something you kind of expect to be able to do either through things like Care Refresh or just being able to take it to DJI or take it to a repair shop. And that brings up my second point when we talk about DJI specific repair, because they ended support for this. I was pretty sure I wasn't gonna be able to send this to DJI for repair. And for what I'm doing budget wise, it just didn't really make a lot of sense to, I'm gonna go out and get a new Mavic 3 or I'm gonna get a Mavic 4 because the Mavic 4 is in the same situation as this guy. So the Mini 5 Pro, a phenomenal little drone. I took this little drone to the Eastern Sierras just a couple of weeks ago, and I was getting some drone shots from the trail that I was going to be going up to go to an area called Kearsarge Pass. If you know anybody that's ever hiked the Pacific Crest Trail, the PCT, Kearsarge Pass and the Onion Valley is an area that a lot of PCT through hikers and section hikers will use to get off the trail to come into town to resupply. Now, I wasn't going to, and I did not fly in the wilderness area. I know the rules and I wasn't gonna do that. But what I did do was I hiked a little bit up the trail just before the boundary, and I flew it around what's called the Onion Valley, which is not in the wilderness area. And so I hiked up as high as I could on the trail so that I could get a good vantage point up high, with every intention of using this footage as B-roll footage for a hiking video that I'm making for my trip into this area where I backpacked in and camped for a couple of nights at some of the lakes there. If you're interested in that kind of video, let me know down in the comments. I'm probably gonna be pushing out a second channel, or maybe I'll put it on this channel, we'll see. Anyway, and then this guy, and I mentioned, I've had the Mavic 2 since 2018, so that's 8 years, and I've never crashed it to the point where it needed repair. This guy slammed right into the side of a mountain, and I basically had to hike down like 600 feet and then hike up like 1,000 feet to be able to get to where this was. And I realized about, I don't know, halfway up that I'd made a terrible decision. And I've got it beeping and blinking, and I'm about 1,000 feet up. And that I was probably risking my life. Just had to climb down that. Climbing up a cliff to get this drone that I probably shouldn't have. But that's here nor there. The point that I'm trying to make is that once I got it back, I needed to get it repaired because this little arm here. Okay, found it. One of the arms is broken. I have no idea how it got here. Right, it broke off. No other damage to the drone, fortunately. Everything else was fine. It just kind of sat up there, beeping and pinging away. I've flown it since it's been repaired, and everything has worked great. But I needed to get it repaired. The arm had broken off. And so I contacted DJI. Now, I did not purchase Care Refresh when I bought the drone because you can't in the United States for this drone because it's not available on the DJI website. So I contacted them anyway because I figured, well, I don't have Care Refresh, but I can probably just have them repair it for me and I'll just pay whatever it costs. It's got to be less than a new drone, right? Well, after having a very nice conversation with DJI support, they explained that while this drone is legal to fly in the United States, it is FCC approved, it's not available on their website. They don't sell it directly. I had to buy it through a third party on Amazon. And by the way, in case you're wondering, I did not pay a premium. I actually found a place that was selling this drone for pretty much just MSRP. It is not gray market. It's not from a different region. It is North America region, but they don't officially sell it in the United States. So it's not something you can buy Care Refresh on. And according to DJI support, it's not something that they can repair at all. So once again, I called my friends over at Drone Doctor here in Las Vegas and dropped it off. And unlike the Mavic 2, where they just could not get the parts for the gimbal, this one, they actually had those parts in stock because they are readily available. Cost-wise, I paid, I think about $130 for a arm replacement. They did their diagnostics. They found that everything else was fine. As I mentioned, I've since flown the drone and everything was fine there. You know, it's got a couple scuffs here and there, but having gotten it repaired, having saved the footage from that trip, I'm glad that I saved it. I'm glad that it only cost $130 to repair it. I'm gonna be a lot smarter about where I fly it relative to cliffs and obstacle avoidance and whatnot, because obviously this thing is both not as robust and also just honestly not as good at avoiding mountains as this one is, because I've had some close calls, but it has survived. But that brings me to kind of my final point, which is that's where we are here in the United States right now with these products. You can buy them. I've got an Action 6. I've got an RS5. I've got the Mini 5 Pro. None of those has officially been released in the United States, which means that if any of them need repair, I am out of luck. And if I said, well, I'll just buy an older one or I'll keep an older one, I have older Ronin gimbals. I have older Action cameras. Say, well, I'll just buy those instead, or keep those and keep them up and just get them repaired. Well, you might not be able to do that either. Parts might not be available, and it may be cost prohibitive to purchase them. And that's kind of the point that I'm making overall, which is we're in this weird kind of in-between area where if you have the previous generation, you're probably okay for a couple more years. If you're a gen or more older than that, where you might want to upgrade, you might not be able to upgrade, or at least the upgrades might not be repairable or serviceable. And those older models are probably not repairable or serviceable depending on where they are in the support line. And there's no light at the end of the tunnel right now as far as what you can do long term. I was very fortunate that the parts are available for this guy, so I was able to get it repaired at a third party. This guy's dead in the water for me right now. I'll probably make a video about strapping a 360 camera to it and we'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, other than just kind of selling it for a couple $100 for parts, I'm stuck. And I couldn't imagine being someone who owned a fleet as a small business, maybe doing inspections or more advanced stuff than I'm doing, and being stuck like that. It's kind of a bummer. But I've had this experience where I've got a practically brand new, just recently released drone that needed to be repaired. I've got a much, much older drone that also needed to be repaired. And my experience in both of those situations, being here in the United States as someone who's kind of in a weird situation legally and regulatorily, is that a word? With these drones and these products from DJI, because there isn't another option. Now, on the action camera front or on the microphone front, maybe even on the gimbal front in some cases, there are some other players out there that are pretty good. But I would say that on the drone front, they're sorry. It's just right now for the price, the quality, and the features, there's not an option. I hope there is soon. I'd love it to be American made, but I doubt that if that's the case, it's gonna be, under $1,000. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know what your experiences have been with getting these types of things repaired. But I wanted to share my experience since I've had it, and I talk a lot about drones and how these policies affect people. And I wanted to let you all know that it's affected me too, and how I have done in that experience. Check me out on all the social media platforms down below. Follow me on Instagram. I've got memberships and super chats and gifts available. I've also got affiliate links to all the gear that I use and talk about here on the channel. But as always, the easiest way to support what I'm doing here is just to hit subscribe, hit like, hit share, watch to the end of the video, comment on the video if you can. Those things are always free and they go a long way to helping me here with the algorithm. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.